Ben?
Lance Hall here for Let's Discuss with Lance Hall. Happy to welcome Denny Smith of the Great Affairs to the program today. How you doing, Denny?
Cheers.
Love the group name. I'm going to start right there. Where did Great Affairs come from?
I wish I had a really good answer for this, but I kind of think it just kind of popped out of my head. We kind of latched onto it because of all the merchandising stuff you could do with it. I designed the first logo for it, and I did like this little sticker before we'd even played any shows. That we made stickers and all this stuff. We recorded before we ever played any live dates, so we kind of got ahead of it with the merchandise. And I was like, man, there's so many famous affairs throughout history. This will never dry up, man. That's going to be adultery, going to be a thing until the end of time. So I thought that's an endless supply of poster art and T-shirt art, and without having to include our mugs on it. So that was where that came from. I wish I had a really cool answer for the actual genesis of the idea, but I don't, man. It just kind of popped out.
And just some of the greatest things just sort of come out of the cosmos,
Yeah, I bank on that.
Yeah.
I need it. So yeah.
And then of course the name of the album, Everybody Moves, Nobody Gets Hurt. Great play on words.
Yeah.
How'd that come about?
I was pretty proud of that one. That was one of those. I think I was watching Pulp Fiction, and she has that line when they're doing the stick up in the middle of that diner, and I thought, man, you just flip that by one word, and it gets real cool all of a sudden,
Yeah.
And it was gonna be a live record. That we sat on that title for about 5 years. In fact, I did mock-up art for it and everything for a live release, and we just never we were never able to cobble together enough material for that. That was quality that matched up, and I thought, man, we got to use that eventually. And so 2020 it was. We stuck it on this one.
Yeah. And when you think of it, how the timing all works out with everything that's going on in the world, right now, it's it's a pretty good play.
Yeah, because nobody moved for about 2 months straight.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, it's funny because we've been kicking around this idea of doing since we swapped out guitar players here in the last few months. We've done some remixes where before we did the videos, we wanted to get his performances on the song so he wasn't miming somebody else's parts. And we're talking about doing an EP called Nobody Moves, Somebody Got Hurt, and just putting some remixes on there and a few new songs. So
talk a little bit about your guitar player swap here. Give us the inside scoop on that.
Man, without getting too much into any drama or anything.
Yeah, just cliff notes.
Yeah, it was one of those things where we've done, we're 7 albums into this, and that doesn't include the stuff that Patrick, our previous guitar player, and I had done in other bands. I've known him for almost 30 years, and we played together since we were, in the land of the big hair kind of thing. We've both been on stage in patent leather pants and pointy headstock guitars for a long time. So it was one of those things where it just kind of, I think he wanted to do something. We've covered a lot of territory in 7 records. We've kind of went from being an Americana band to being a straight up rock and roll band and everything in between. And he's not really into some of the poppier stuff, I guess, that maybe I favor, and wants to, he likes the Crows and Zeppelin, which I love too.
Right.
But that's not really even if I wanted to be in one of those kind of bands, I don't have the pipes for it. So, I got to do what I do well and what we do well. And I think he just wanted to branch off a little bit and Corey I've known for, over 10 years as well, since he moved to Nashville, and he has a pretty great resume, and he's been in some fantastic bands that I was a fan of. So he was just going to be a sub. And he showed up so ridiculously prepared for the first rehearsal. I was like, man, this is just got to be a thing, man. This is that guy. And thankfully he was into it. And onward we marched. He's it's been a great addition, man. And our styles complement each other playing wise. So I think there's some cool stuff coming up.
Sure. Yeah, definitely some great stuff. Now, we talked about how nobody moved for a couple of months, of course, with everything that was going on with COVID and all, and that's sort of how this album came together, right? Various home studios, you kind of patchworked it all together. Everybody sort of did their parts separately, and then you put it together like a giant puzzle.
Yeah, I mean, more. It was weird because we got the double whammy of this thing, and I don't want to, make too much of a big deal out of this because it's been talked about a lot already, I guess. But at the end of 2019, it was September. We were creeping up on kind of like the end of our, road time for the year. Usually we kind of take November through January off, and so we played 3 in a row, and on the last show, I lost my voice entirely. Like I didn't have anything left, and it ended up going to the ENT a couple weeks later because it wasn't coming back, and found out I had polyps that may or may not, and ended up they did require surgery. And I was in the middle of making a solo record then. So I finished that up. I croaked my way through the rest of that. And then we had done an EP that was titled the 2019 Sessions Volume 1. And it was the only volume for 2019 because once that happened, we were done. I couldn't sing. I ended up going in first week of January of 2020. And then we know the rest. As soon as we got cleared, my doctor cleared me to sing again. We played 2 shows, and down came the curtain. So I kind of forced a hiatus with that, and then the world gave us the remainder.
Right.
So yeah, while we were sitting around trying to figure out what do we do, because I'm sure you or everybody just thought this was going to take a couple weeks or a month or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Once it dawned on us that was not going to be the case, and I was itching to get in the studio because I wanted to see if all this money I spent fixing my throat had worked. So we were really anxious. We had a bunch of material piled up, and so we just started working on it. Some at my house. Our buddy Joshua Ketchmark has a little spot across town called Black Gold Speakeasy, and we did some stuff over there. And then our main studio with Michael St. Leon, our engineer, the Switchyard, we did all the drums, some bass and guitar and stuff with all the vocals. And yeah, he's worked with us for many years, and he kind of we can turn that stuff over to him. We can trust him to make sense of it. Because if somebody sends you a file with 20 tracks in it, yeah, they're gonna drop on the grid and they're gonna line up where they're supposed to line up, but you don't know where they're supposed to. He's got to mix that without us there. And thankfully towards the end, it was we were able to do some sessions where we're all in the same place and sort it out and tweak it. But then it just came to be a matter of do we put it out or do we wait? That was I think that was the biggest mystery in the whole thing. It's like once 6 months had passed, it's like, well, how long can this thing possibly go? So we just decided to pull the trigger and put it out. I mean, it was all we could give anybody besides some stupid half-ass live stream.
Yeah.
Which we're not particularly tech savvy, so that wasn't probably going to be anything too much to brag about.
Yeah. I was reading Michael's resume, some of the acts he worked with, Buddy Guy, Quinn Sullivan, and one of my favorite all-time blues ladies, Anna Popovic.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he turned me on to her.
Yeah, I saw her in concert probably 4 or 5 years ago. Sat second row in a little club, and oh my God, yeah, mesmerizing.
Yeah, she's something.
Yeah,
he's a really. I mean, Michael's a talented musician in his own right too. He actually plays some guitar on the record. He does some really cool slide guitar, but I've worked on almost every project I've done in this town, and I've been here for going on 18 years. All of our stuff we've always done there, or done at least in part there. And man, every year he's got a new trick. Man, there's always something. He always blows us away with his mixes and stuff. And he's worked there for so long. He never charges us what we should be charged. So I guess it's from a budget standpoint, it's a great move too. But yeah, he's just I came at this from I was a guitar player for years. I was never a singer. And I mean, I sang backup and all the stuff that you do being a sideman kind of thing. But he was the first engineer I ever worked with where I had to sing lead vocals. So he's one of the only people I feel comfortable doing that with. He gets all my quirks and tells me, you're doing that thing there that is really annoying. Don't do that. and doesn't, I don't take offense at it. Whereas if
Sure.
somebody else told me, I might snap. But so yeah, he's a great dude, man, and very, very deserving of all of the great stuff that's come his way the last few years with the Grammys and whatnot.
Yeah. Now, how about Joshua Ketchmark? Worked with him much, or?
He's another guy that I've known for 30 years. He's one of my oldest friends, and we played in a band in Los Angeles together called Best of Seven.
Mm.
And when I moved to Nashville, he stayed out there, and he was an engineer. He worked with a bunch of, acts out there as an engineer and a guitar technician and stuff.
Yeah.
But is a solo artist as well. He puts out records. He pretty much craps a record out about twice a year, it seems like. He's just one of those guys that he learned from the best, and he took all that stuff and opened his own little place up. And I've never seen anybody edit that fast in my life. If you need something fixed, that's the guy. Taught himself how to make videos. It's crazy. It's just that he's a one-stop shop. He's fantastic.
You must have something about bands with sevens in the names. You Best of Seven. You were in another band called 17 Days, right? Something about the letter number 7.
17 Days played. That's a Prince song. I just stole that from a Prince song.
Okay.
But we only played one show ever, and there's no video document of this because our trusted MC / occasional keyboard player, who we entrusted with our camcorder, I think it was a VHS, it's gigantic, like a broadcast camera at the time, to film it, forgot to take the cap off.
Oh God.
So we have there's no document of that, but I was briefly in a band called 17 Days. So
I want to take Everybody Moves, Nobody Gets Hurt. I of course listened to the album. Fantastic album. Made some notes on a few songs. Just sort of want to run you my thoughts, observations, maybe get a little scoop on here and some of this stuff. And
go for it, man.
Track 1, I'm All Right. Great opener. Am I sounds like a song of hope, an upbeat, sort of uplifting thing. Was it coming out of all the mess of the last year? You just wanted to let everybody know you were all right, or am I totally misinterpreting it?
Well, I mean, you're on the mark. Not so much about the pandemic, because it was done. We did that. It was part of that 2019 EP thing. The original mix it was. What that song basically alludes to is we got, from a business standpoint, got kind of stomped on for a few months. Just various things that it just, every time we turned around, something was sideways that shouldn't have been. And we were constantly trying to correct. And I think maybe it possibly overcorrected. And that was that was me airing all that stuff out in a less than direct fashion, but basically letting people know that you can rip us off, that's cool, but we're still going to be here. That eventually you're going to choke on that stuff, and that's kind of how I felt at the time. It was really it's funny when I listen to that song now, because that was one of the ones that was cut before my surgery. I can hear it in the vocal. I can hear it in the way that Michael had to treat the vocal to get it over, because I remember it would be in a real, now I can sing it and it's cake, but at the time it was a struggle to get it cut. So
cool, very cool. Now you talked about how you wanted to move things sort of like more of in a pop direction. To me, track 2, Believe in Ghost, is just a great pure pop song, and that's not a knock, just great pure pop.
Well, I mean, I mean, everything for me goes back to, and I'm staring right at Ace Frehley as I say this, but everything for me goes back to Kiss. And maybe my favorite Kiss record after Creatures of the Night is Paul's solo record. And I love pop is everything. I mean, Rick Springfield, Big Star. I mean, anything, Bon Jovi. I love all that stuff. And that song, it's funny because we sat on that song for. I saw the demo the other day and it had the date on it, and I want to say that song was probably closing in on 10 years old.
Wow.
And the guys wanted to do it. Kenny in particular, our drummer, really wanted to cut it. And I just couldn't. I was like, man, we can't. We've always been really big on, we should be able to do all this stuff live. And there's just 4 of us, and there's 72 different tracks in that song. There's all kinds of crazy stuff going on. And I always kind of shy away from that. And I'm afraid it's like, well, what if that ends up being something we people really dig, and then we can't play it, or worse yet, we go out and play it and we fall on our faces.
Right.
So yeah, we kind of shuffled that off. But yeah, it was funny when it got done. A couple people said it sounded like pop country, and I never would have. I never
Yeah,
would have thought that in a million years, but I guess
yeah.
now I kind of hear it.
To me, it was just just a straight up pop song. Now track 3. Am I getting the name? Is it Livia?
Livia, correct.
To me, that had particularly on the intro, especially a great mid '80s pop sound. Made me think of the Outfield right off.
Oh yeah, that's awesome, man. Thank you.
Um,
Yeah, I love that stuff, man. That was, Best of Seven. We were kind of like Goo Goo Dolls,
mm-hmm.
Beats Bon Jovi kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I still carry a lot of that around with me. I love those kind of songs, man. Those just big anthem chorus kind of things. And that one came together really quick. It's super cool to play live. And yeah, and it's funny because that Livia, I don't even know if that's probably not even a real name. The spelling's certainly not legitimate. It was just some kind of phonetic crap I was singing, but it sounded too cool to change it to a real word.
Right.
So I just took it from Olivia Benson from Law and Order SVU.
Okay.
I like Mariska Hargitay. So and it stuck. And
a la John Fogerty, in Creedence Clearwater, a lot of those lyrics were just stringing stuff along phonetically that he liked.
Yeah,
Green River is like total flow of consciousness.
Never heard Def Leppard. There's a good handful of Def Leppard songs that I have no idea what is going on. Pour Some Sugar on Me. If you can find the hidden meaning in that, probably get a Nobel Prize or something. But
right.
Yeah, sometimes it's just I try and rein that stuff in, and I like it to have a narrative, but it doesn't always have to, man. So it's just the way it makes you feel.
Yeah,
if you're feeling it, you
exactly
there. So
High on Rose, the thing that jumped out at me on this track was keys and then the harmonies. And I see every guy in the group sings, and that's got to be pretty cool to be able to pull that much to back everybody up with,
Yeah, it's certainly a handy crutch to have at times, because that's the other thing too. A lot of people don't realize this until they see us live, but I'm not the only lead singer. That's Kenny singing lead on that, and some people don't put that together until they actually see it. He sings 3 tracks on the record, that being one that he wrote that as well. He's got the Paul Rogers voice. I have the Tom Petty voice kind of thing. He's got the throatier thing, but yeah, man, they brought that riff in. Him and Patrick wrote that together, and it didn't have those giant harmonies at first. That happened in the studio. He wanted me to sing a line, and I said, man, it sounds kind of naked without it. And we started stacking those on there, and I was like, and it's like, well, that's going to be fun to try and do in a live setting, because there's definitely more vocal parts on there than there are people on stage when we play live. But we got it kind of sorted out. And the keys on it. It's funny you mentioned John Fogerty, but that's Michael Webb. He used to play for John Fogerty.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, he did all the B3 on this record, and any of the piano that sounds like a real piano player played it is him. All the crappy piano is me, but anything that sounds like a real player is him. And all the B3 stuff, man, he's a monster, but he's a good dude, and he killed on that. I love Kenny always brings these blues rock songs in, and they almost always call for the B3. And we have to go play that stuff live, and it's not there, and I miss it every night, because some of it's kind of makes the song.
The next 2 tracks I'm going to kind of lump together because I love the titles, In the Wreckage and Worn Out Souls. Those are great titles.
Thank you.
In the Wreckage, to go within the Wreckage, I like the slide, the acoustic, the lyrics were really good. Worn Out Souls, speaking of piano, you got that melancholy piano. To me, Worn Out Souls is an absolute hit. It's got a real, to my ear, it had sort of a 70s vibe. It took me back to some of the stuff I used to hear back in the 70s,
Yeah, that's another Kenny song, man.
Yeah, he killed it on the vocal on that.
Yeah, he's great. He brought that in. I remember working up the little demo for that here. Once again, me just doing a little plinkety plink, 3-finger chord piano stuff, and then I knew it was a good song. Once we got it down, I was like, this is cool. And the lyric is so great on it. He
Yeah.
brought a really great lyric in on that. But until Michael Webb played on it, I had no idea how cool and how 70s it was going to get. Once we put, it's one thing to listen to it, the drum machine playing through it, and then you hear the real drums and that piano part that he put in. He gave us two different. I've still got the other version somewhere. He did two different versions. He did his Bad Company version, and then he did his own kind of loose version. And I think we went with that one. But yeah, man, he brought that whole thing to life. It's great. There's some really cool stuff in it. And then in the wreckage, it's funny you mentioned that slide guitar because that is Michael St. Leon. He played all the lead guitar on that, the baritone guitar. That was supposed to be a solo track, that's why he's on it instead of Patrick.
Okay.
It was a leftover from the last record, and I had a couple lines of the lyrics that I just couldn't live with, and I finally got him where I dug him, and I asked him if I could sing it one day. We were in there on a session, and I knocked out the vocal, and then I said, man, I'm hearing this thing, because I'm a terrible slide player. I cannot play slide to save my life. And so I just kind of hummed some stuff to him, and he put that down, and it was instantly, I was like, yeah, that's it. That's exactly what I was hearing. And he nailed it, man. He's just got a really great touch for that. He was in an Allman Brothers, or is in an Allman Brothers tribute band, so I guess that kind of explains that. But, it's fantastic.
Track 7, Light Years. This is where I heard the Real Cheap Trick influence. I'm like, this is, I could really pick up the Cheap Trick in this song, at least to my ear,
Well, I was going for Oasis when I wrote it, and it did not turn out like Oasis by the time it made the studio. That's another one that we sat on for years because we couldn't. It's got with the way the harmonies and stuff are layered in it. It's almost impossible to play it and sing it and really nail those parts. It's kind of got that King's X kind of on in the spots, which we're not particularly good at. And so when we brought it in and tried to work it up at rehearsal, we kind of hacked the crap out of it. But luckily, we had a demo that was a complete demo, and we took the demo in and played to the demo track and just kind of started adding stuff. I got to play electric sitar on it, which was awesome, man. I've never got to do that on a record before. I've been waiting for years to find somewhere I could squeeze that in. And it's all kinds of cool little, there's a lot of ear candy in that's kind of hard to figure out what's going on unless you peel it apart and see it. But yeah, that's another great Michaal mix too. It's cool.
Three Leaf Clover was probably my second favorite track on the album. To me, this had like almost like a gospel feel. It reminded me of like early Rod Stewart crossed with like Mr. Big when they settled down and did their acoustic type stuff,
Well, that's my first favorite song on the record. Just for the record, that's my absolute favorite. That's another Kenny thing, man. He brought it, and it's another thing he brought in, this really super bare bones idea that he and Patrick had put together, and I didn't even know what to play on it. I couldn't figure out. So I only play acoustic on it, but I spent hours just listening to this little memo demo over and over again, trying to figure out, like, what do I even do on this? Because it was so sparse. And then once we started stacking all the stuff on it, I was like, okay, now this is something. It's gonna be really cool. And then the gospel singer on there, oddly enough, she's gonna be on. What's the date today? 16th that we're taping. I don't know when this is gonna. Is this live or is it gonna be on?
This is gonna be tape.
Okay. Well, on the 20th, I believe, Wendy Moten, who sings on it, she's gonna be on The Voice. She's one of the blind voice. I don't know yet if she made it through because I don't think she's allowed to say, but she'll be on the episode on the 20th. Kenny, somebody referred her to do these back, and he sent her the track, man, and she just sent these files back. There was so much to choose from. It was hard. And all of it, there was no auto tune. There was no need. It was like just dripping with cool and awesome, like straight off the hard drive. I could not believe the stuff that she sent back. And then once we, everything got tweaked and mixed, it just was gorgeous, man. Because I have very little to do with it, not to toot our own horn, but that was a real feat. It was great to have her on that. She sang the hell out of it, man.
That's awesome. Satellite. I loved the concept of the lyric on this. I thought that really took me away,
Thank you.
That is where did that all come from?
That was me kind of looking around and seeing there just some people close to me that were pinning their hopes on, and this is, just my personal thing, just people that just want shit to fall out of the sky for them, like you don't have to work. It's just it's like, man, you can't, that's just not how I was raised. So, it's nose to the grindstone or nothing. And I just had a couple people in my immediate circle that I think they just kind of figure they're going to get handed stuff, that's it's going to prepare to have your ass kicked repeatedly. That's how you're going to do things. You might get lucky once or twice, but if you're going to bank on that, or you think you can just, what's the thoughts and prayers thing? I mean, that good luck. I mean, I hope that works, but in my experience, I have not been fortunate when I've employed those techniques to get what I needed. So,
Track 10. Now, this is where anybody who's listening to my interviews say, I always give you the album the last track test. I want to see if the band is working as hard on the last track as they were on the first track. The Ride is my favorite track on this album.
Oh, no shit.
Caught me totally off guard. Heavy. I love the bass line. Kind of grungy. The way the lyric and the vocal went reminded me of Mother Love Bone.
Oh, wow.
Have you heard of them?
Yeah, definitely.
Just the way the delivery was in the lyric, it was kind of trippy. This is my favorite track. I loved it. It was different. It caught me off guard, but it blew me away.
Well, I'm glad we put it on there then, because I fought to not. That's another one of those ones we sat on for a long time. It was funny because Kenny remembers it really well, and I didn't until he reminded me. But we were playing a show somewhere in Kentucky when we were coming back, and he started to ask me. This is 4 years ago, maybe. He goes, "Man, what was that thing you were working on?" He's the handy guy, and so like when your water heater blows up,
right?
Call him and say, "Hey man, what do I do? There's water shooting all over the garage." Kind of, he knows how to shut stuff off and rip things out and replace them. So he had come over to help me with I had a flooring issue in my kitchen. He was going to fix some flooring for me. Yeah. And while he was down there doing that, because I am not handy, I was up in the studio, cranking this idea that had all this, all this weird loops and whatnot in it. And he had to listen to that on repeat all day long while he was doing that work downstairs. So a while later, he brought up, "Whatever happened with that song?" And I said, "Man, I finished it, but we couldn't do it." But I ended up I had it on my phone, and we listened to it in the van. And he said, "Well, we don't have to play everything live." I said, "Yeah," and I forgot about it until last year. And we went in, and I said, "Well, I guess we may never play these songs live with the pandemic and everything." I said, "I guess now's the time to pull this stuff out." So we did. And that's that drum part is 3 separate drum tracks. Wow. And we did it on purpose. It was chopped up to make it sound mechanical but human at the same time. Mm-hmm. And then we pieced it together. And once again, and that's another crazy thing is I had done a record for a guy. I had written a record and co-written a few songs for a guy in Illinois, Tommy Edwards. And that was one of the songs that he had selected from the vault to do. But the performance that his band played on it wasn't usable. We couldn't get it together. But Joshua Ketchmark had handled those sessions, and he had the tracks on a drive, which is a good thing because I had lost them. And I wouldn't have no idea how to recreate those keyboard parts because I did those all on the fly years ago. I was like, I don't even know what those sounds are, if I still have those anymore. Because there's like a dozen keyboard parts going through that, like all just weird sounds and stuff that kind of come in and out. And I called him. I said, "Man, do you have that session?" He's like, "I'll go look for it." And he pulled the drive out of storage that he had. And he had it. And we kept my original guitar tracks. I think I recut the guitar solo and dropped Kenny's drums in, and I re-sang it. And by the time it was done, I was like, it is really pretty cool. I was just one of those things. I thought it was I was trying to write a stereophonic song. Okay. And it didn't come out that way. Yeah. But what it did turn into, I really dig. And now again, we will never be able to play it.
Yeah. Live. It was just kind of
tunings, I think.
Yeah, it was just kind of dark, trippy type, just a total different thing. But it worked. It really worked, and it was a great track to throw on at the end, just to sort of, throw you off. Give you like,
Well,
holy shit, I want more now.
I don't know where else we could have put it.
No.
It was such an oddball number. It's like if we stuck that anywhere else, it would just interrupt the flow.
Yeah.
So it had to sit there. Plus, it's like 6 minutes long, I think.
Yeah.
So had to
Exactly.
cut at the end.
Did you put a lot of work into the sequencing of the album?
Oh yeah, every time, man. It's always a battle. Because we've got the weird situation where when you get two vocalists, man, you don't want to put all my songs or all Kenny's songs, so you got to find a way to make it all kind of beat together. And this one was a struggle, man, because if I'd had my way about it, I would have put 3-leaf Clover up front, but it just, like, from an emotional standpoint, it sat really great where it is. You couldn't put back to back with Worn Out Souls because they're
right.
They're two different, but they're very similar in narrative and stuff. So they had to kind of be. Yeah, there was just a lot of, because, man, now that I look at it, I'm sitting here looking at the back cover, and there's a lot of melancholy crap on this record, man. We must have been.
I wouldn't call it crap, a lot of melancholiness, but I mean, the whole world was melancholy at the time.
I never really noticed that until just looking at it all in sequence. Yeah.
I gotta ask you, I was looking down the list of groups and people and stuff that you guys have played with, and there were two names that kind of jumped out at me. One's a little more obscure, the other one all the rockers know, but Walter Egan. I mean, the guy had like one hit, right? Magnet and Steel.
Yeah.
What was it like? What was he like playing with or anything like that? Did he play any other songs or?
Yeah, he's got a bunch of. It's funny because I got an autographed CD from him that night that had I think it's 2 records. He had 2 of his Warner Brothers records or whatever label he was on back that Lindsey Buckingham produced.
Yeah.
And it's real. He's a super nice guy, and he's lived here for years. I think he teaches here.
Really?
So his band was really good. He was but it was one of those throw and go. It was the International Pop Overthrow Festival. Okay. So, and I want to say we played with him and Nelson the same night. So it was like I think we might have been shoehorned in between Nelson brothers and him. So it was a really weird bill all the way around in a little tiny club. But he's great, man. He just looks like a white-haired version of him back then.
Yeah.
He's still got his pipes, and his band is solid. And the Nelson guys were great too, actually.
I talked to somebody who played with them, and they gave them great marks. They said they were a great couple of guys.
Well, they sing their asses off, man. It's funny because my sister, when we were kids, was a huge Nelson fan. I was as well. I actually went and saw them live with House of Lords back in the day. But
cool.
They the funniest thing about them, I saved it and I actually framed it and gave it to her. But their set list,
neat.
They had an encore planned on there, like they had written in encore, and they had a couple songs. They did not play that because the club was like half empty. It was a really dead night. I don't remember what the deal was. If something else was going on in town, but they were clearly very disappointed with so they did not do their encore. I just thought it was funny because if we have an encore, it's only by accident. I've never written encore on the set. I guess I've never been big enough to write encore on the set list.
Yeah. It's cool you mentioned House of Lords. I got to interview James Christian a couple years ago. That was awesome.
He's a great singer, man.
Yeah. The other band, Head East. I mean, phenomenal band,
The first national band I ever opened for. I think I played with them 3 or 4 times over the years, but that was the first national band I ever opened for in my first original band. We were playing a radio station event that we were lucky to get on, and the headliner was supposed to be Buffalo Tom. They had
I've heard of them.
Yeah, they were on Atlantic Records, I think. But this thing happened, like, I want to say this event was in like January or something. It was bitter cold outside, and they couldn't make it. Like, they got snowed in Boston or something.
Yeah.
So Head East were like the local heroes because they were from that area in Illinois. So they put out a call, and they flew in. They were able, wherever they were at, apparently it was warm enough they could get on a plane, and they showed up. and it was funny because they used one of my cabinets, my speaker cabinets, as a keyboard stand. They did not have they used the other opening band's drum kit. I mean, they showed up, and this is a really, I hate to even tell the story. I got to tell it because it's just too funny to skip. My singer at the time, we were kids, we were really young. And my singer at the time came running down it was this theater, the Madison Theater. And my singer came running down the steps and he goes, "Man, have you seen those Head East guys?" And we're like, "Why?" And he goes, "They're old, man." And the guitar player was standing right, just walked down the steps right behind him. We acted like we didn't even know my singer at that point. We just kind of turned and walked the other direction. And now I think about it, that guy was probably younger than I am now. So
yeah. Exactly. That's awesome. Cool stuff. I want to go back in time with you, Denny, if we can, for just a couple minutes, because I couldn't dig up a whole lot on you. You mentioned how you were always a guitar player. Where was the moment where you decided this is what I want to do, and what led you to guitar? Did you?
Well, I mean, I wanted to play guitar when I was a kid, like a little kid, because my Uncle Dave was in a cover band, and he always had hot girlfriends. Like it was just a thing, and so that you put that two and two together pretty quick, and then MTV blows up, and it's like, okay, I got to do this now. Yeah. But I think I was 15 when I saw my first arena show. It was Rat and Poison. It was supposed to be Rat and Cheap Trick, but Cheap Trick dropped and they put Poison on instead. And so to make an already like totally auspicious occasion even more so, Poison did an autograph signing at the JR's Music in the mall before the show. So now I go to this autograph signing, buy my $5.99 LP, and I just see this mob of girls waiting to meet these guys, and then I go to the show totally unprepared. I'd never even been in I'd never been to a hockey game or anything, so I'd never even been in an arena before at that point. And just the sheer spectacle of it, just everything about it, man. Not just the volume and the lights, just the whole thing. I was like, man, this has got to be the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. I couldn't even be. My friends dogged me out afterwards because I just stood there. I'm not even sure if I applauded or anything. I just stood there with my mouth hanging open for 2.5 hours, man, just like completely blown. I mean, my mind was completely just blown. So I think that was it. And then it was weird because I moved to Nashville in '94 for a year, and we were gonna make it, and we didn't, and the band imploded, and I went home and I opened my record shop, and I was kind of just content to do that and play in local bands and stuff, and I got this chance to go to LA and play with these guys because I'd sent some demos out, and then it just I got kind of pulled into it then, you know what I mean? Because it was stuff started happening for them. So what had initially been, hey, do you want to play on these recordings, turned into, hey, do you want to join this band? And I'm like, man, I got a kid and a business. And so I was kind of in Illinois half the time and in Los Angeles half the time. And then we started playing, opening for all these people that were like my heroes and I was a kid. And it's like, I can't quit, I got to just keep doing this. And then, now I just do it because it's what I do. Yeah. But there was a while there was like, I gotta see this through kind of thing, because I'll always go back to that Rat and Poison show though, man. Yeah. I can still see every single moment of that in my head.
It sounds a lot like my first experience with a concert. I was 17. This kid from a hick town up in northern Vermont. We went down to Hartford, Connecticut. And it was Survivor and REO Speedwagon.
Oh my God!
And the first thing is the girls. Oh my God! Yeah. My head was on a swivel the entire night. And then the same way, I was the same way with the show, the vibe and everything. I was just taken. And I never could learn an instrument. I never had the patience to learn an instrument. I can't really sing. I ended up becoming a DJ. But we used a band approach. We were out in front doing air guitar and all this stuff. When I couldn't play for real, I played for fake, and we carried it through, and the people loved it. And then I got into doing interviews, and like I said, I can't play an instrument, but I play CDs really, really well,
Right.
and I can talk.
Well, I don't. I mean, it's one of those things where I remember I had a guitar teacher when I was first starting. I took lessons for like a year, and then I took, it's one of those things where I would go back every once in a while and try and start over again because I knew I wasn't doing things right. But I remember him telling me that at my first lesson, I couldn't even get the pick to hit the strings correctly. Like it was like I was batting at air kind of thing. And he goes, well, not everybody has the aptitude for this. And it was like soul crushing.
Yeah.
So, sometimes it's a matter of you got to stick it out, man. I mean, I'm not a particularly gifted guitar player. It's a tool. It gets, I can kind of look cool doing it, and I could, it's a way to get songs out, I guess. But man, everybody's got a medium,
Exactly.
You just got to find it.
The other thing I got to ask you about, I saw another interview that you did, I think it was fairly recently, where it was like a Zoom interview, and so we could see you, and you were wearing an April Wine shirt. How did you get turned on to April Wine? They're like our band from up here.
It's funny, man. I was never a huge April Wine fan. Kenny, on the other hand, is a massive April Wine fan. That shirt came from my shop because we had, and I'm 6'2", so finding clothes that fit my skinny ass was tough, So we, for a while at my shop, we were taking in used concert tees, and some guy traded in a whole stack, and I think it's a bootleg. I'm not really sure, but I got that, and I got a badass Vandenberg shirt from the same time, and so it was more of this is a cool, and I do like the band, but I couldn't tell you more than a couple songs. I just like it's like for years, man. I had a Grateful Dead sticker on one of my guitars. I don't even remember how it got there. And I remember a guy asking me at a studio one time, "Man, are you a big Dead fan?" I was like, I couldn't tell you anything about the Grateful. It's like the sticker looks cool, so I'm gonna put it on.
You put the sticker on, you wear the shirt,
So he called me a poser probably when he walked out.
Well, being up here where I am, our radio station, our rock radio station, was Show'em FM out of Montreal. So we only got all the classic rock that everybody got, but we got all the Canadian rock.
Oh yeah.
The April Wine and the Street Heart and the Helix, and
I was gonna say, man, my Canadian allegiance would go to Helix and Danko Jones, but I don't. I cannot claim any true lasting fandom with April. I don't think I own a single April Wine record, so I really am a poser when it comes to that shirt. I do have all the Helix catalog. So
very cool, very cool.
I stand by them.
I chatted with Brian Vollmer, a number of years ago. Very, very cool guy. So
I love that band, man. Kenny and I get in fairly heated arguments because Long Way to Heaven is one of my favorite records of all time, and he discounts that one as the crap one of their catalog. So we have some great discussions in the van.
Yeah, I like the one before that a little bit. I can't think of the name of it now. I had Rock You and Gimme Gimme Good Lovin' and all that. Yeah. And if you look, I'm sure you picked up on this in the video for Gimme Gimme Good Lovin'. Did you know Tracy Lords is in it?
No.
Check it out on YouTube.
I will. I'm making a note of that right now.
Tracy Lords is in that video.
How old was she then?
Not very old. So just to bring us back now to the great affairs after we've both gone music geek on each other. What's next for the band? It sounds like you guys never stop writing, never stop recording, never stop touring. What's going on right now with the Grateful Affairs? The Great Affairs. Sorry.
Corey's in Germany for most of this month, doing a long delayed family visit. So we haven't been doing anything the last couple weeks. So I took that opportunity to cut a bunch of demos for new stuff, and that's what I was doing when you reached out to me earlier. I was trying to, rewire my brain after trying to slap bass parts down, because I'm not a bass player. But so we're doing a bunch of that. Like I said, we've been doing these remixes. We've got about a quarter of the record, remixed already. I don't know how hard we're going to lay into that, because we've only got a couple shows left for the rest of the year, and then it's just kind of, man, honestly, dude, it's a wait and see thing. I don't know what we're going to do next year. I mean, I know we're going to try and get out and play shows, but everything's still so, kind of up in the air as far as what that's going to look like in 22. I don't know. I mean, if nothing else, man, we're going to go back in the studio and probably cut our new record. Kenny's got a solo record coming out. Well, it's been coming out for about 5 years, so don't quote me on that. But I've heard a lot of it, and it's really great. But he just keeps adding songs to it, so it's one of those,
So he's working at somewhat of a Boston pace on that.
He does. He definitely has some Def Leppard tendencies as far as, but it is. I do know that it's because I played on some of it, so I do know that it actually exists. I've heard it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think we may do 1 or 2 more videos.
Okay.
But really, that's kind of it. Just play some shows, and we got so sidelined by the pandemic thing as far as we didn't really get to go out and promote this record like we would. So we're kind of hoping to get out and do that. Luckily, it sold well on its own without having to hit the road too hard.
Yeah, that's a fantastic album.
Thank you, man. It's really one of those things where you never know until you've got to push it out there in the world and see if anybody finds
absolutely
anything they like on it. But so yeah, I mean, and this new batch of material, at least at my end, is kind of all over the place. So it's going to take a while to whittle that down and figure. We have never written with Corey before, so that'll be a new thing. Yeah, it's kind of up in the air. It's just a matter of just trying to stay busy. It's just I don't know how busy we can be or what we can do to be busy. In this it's a new landscape that we're looking at.
So strange.
Yeah.
Walking the Razor's Edge is the Helix album I was trying to think of, and I'll even go back to No Rest for the Wicked too. Those are a couple of great albums.
I think that too, man.
Denny, I always like to end with just some fun, silly questions. I'm hoping these are questions you've never been asked. Sound good?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. Oddest job you've ever held?
Well, I'm gonna spoon feed this one to you because the Kiss thing. I worked in the Kiss warehouse for 2 days.
Really?
I did. I worked. In fact, if you watch the Detroit Rock City premiere party on VH1, I think it's on the Kissology. You'll see me on there. I'm in the crowd on that. When they did the auction thing, just before the auction, I helped dress the mannequins and set up guitars and took orders from Tommy Thayer when he was still wearing khakis and polo shirt.
That must have been amazing.
It was, dude. I geeked out. No one else in there was a fan. I was the only one that dorked. I completely geeked out. I was trying to do finger tapping on the cracked mirror Warlock and stuff, and no one even thought it was funny. I was like, okay.
Oh my God.
I was drooling the whole time, man.
What was the one piece you were? If you could have been given access, okay, you can have one piece out of here. What would you have picked?
Oh shit, man. That's man. They weren't. I guess because when I found Kiss, I was already in the '80s, and I didn't discover until the '80s stuff. So that's where it started for me. Any one of those, they're garbage, really, from a technical standpoint. Any one of those BC Rich guitar, they had like all the ones from the Crazy Nights tour were there. All the older stuff, but and the original Cracked Mirror Iceman.
Okay.
There. That would probably be, plus I love that guitar in general. But I mean, there's so much stuff, dude. I almost cried one day because you got to put those things on stands, like those on mannequin stands.
Yeah.
And there's a little bar that comes out of the base that goes into the leg. So you have to cut. I was like cutting spandex and stuff like how do we just put a cut in? It's like, you want to cut it? Like, I remember dressing an Eric Carr mannequin and just like freaking out because I didn't want to cut into the spandex. So yeah, I was I would have taken anything out of there. I didn't take a single thing, but there were guitar picks everywhere. I mean, there's plenty of stuff that could have gone in my pockets, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, some of those guitars, oh dude, it was so badass.
If you could go back in time and eat one of your mom's meals from your childhood, what would you have her make? One of your favorite meals that she used to make?
My mom was a terrible cook. She's a terrible cook, but Spanish rice.
Huh?
Spanish rice that I thought that was maybe probably wasn't that good, but it was better than everything else. So
Very
I was
cool.
always enthusiastic about Spanish rice nights.
Would you rather go back in time and meet your ancestors or forward in time and meet your great 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 grandchildren?
Oh, um, well, judging by the last couple of years, I think I would prefer to go. I don't know, man, because I don't like roughing it. So maybe the future. I would probably go forward.
All
Yeah.
right. If you could pick a television show to have a Great Affairs song placed in, what show would you pick?
Whichever one pays the best royalty rate for placement.
All right.
Research that and get back to me on it. That would be my answer.
All right. Have you ever prank called someone?
Oh God, yes.
Yeah.
Been many years ago. Many years.
Yes, before caller ID.
Right.
Favorite old school wrestler?
Oh man, I don't know that I have one. I always like
Really?
Roddy Piper, but that was just
Okay.
because he lived. So
Yeah.
I'm not really sure. I didn't
It-
watch wrestling much when I was the oldest kid, and my dad was not. He liked boxing.
Okay.
So we never watched wrestling in my house. Now my girlfriend could give you a whole bunch of answers on that one.
All right. Last music you listened to other than your own?
Hold on, my phone's right here. I don't remember. My brain is so fried. Let's see what I listened to this morning. Switchfoot, Oh Gravity.
Ah, nice. Favorite superhero?
I'm only going to say this because it'll mess Kenny up. Shazam.
All right, let's go in the opposite direction. Favorite villain?
Oh. Probably Dark Side.
Okay. Last one, and this is the one we have the most fun with. If they were to make a biopic of your life, what actor would you have portray you in the movie? And it's your movie, your life. You can pick anyone.
Well, he's not an actor, but everybody says it's like that one ice skater guy, the really super with the doop-de-doo hair and stuff. Every year when he's on like Olympic things or something, I always get this stuff. Hey, look, you're on TV. I don't know his name though. I wish it's gonna drive me crazy. I'll find it and I'll send you the picture and it'll all make sense to you. But I mean, if I could, anybody, even though he's much older than me, Kurt Russell, just because Kurt Russell's the shit.
Yeah, very cool. We've been chatting with Denny Smith here for Let's Discuss with Lance Hall. The band is called The Great Affairs. The album is called Everybody Moves, Nobody Gets Hurt. Available everywhere, correct? Or can we direct them to your website to buy it? Is it better? Do you have that?
You can get it pretty much anywhere you can get music these days, which I don't even know where those places are, honestly, other than my shop. But yeah, thegreataffairs.com. You can avail yourself of one there. But yeah, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, all those places have it streaming. If you do buy the CD directly from us, there are 2 extra songs on it, though, that are not available in the digital format. So there is that.
Excellent.
But yeah, that's yeah, you can pretty much anywhere. And all our socials are the same, with the exception of YouTube, which only recently allowed us to, we haven't changed it yet, to be youtube.com/greataffairs. Everything else is /The Great Affairs. So we're easy to find on all that stuff.
Before we go, Denny, was there any questions I didn't ask you, anything you didn't get to talk about that you would have liked to have had an opportunity to? The floor is yours.
Oh, no, I think we about covered it. I mean, I don't know. Again, even after powering through this coffee, I'm not entirely sure I have a single thought in my head unless I have been prompted to dig around in there.
You followed along fantastically, Denny. All right. Give my best to the rest of the guys. Good luck going forward with everything. Best wishes for it all, and hope to chat with you again sometime.
Awesome, man. Thank you.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye-bye.